It's time to step inside the Octagon with your host, Ike Feldman.
Yo, what's up, fight fans? What's up, combat sports community? How you guys are doing? Happy Saturday. UFC Paris is in the books, wrapped up. East Coast time at a very pleasant early hour. They obviously shifted the time for the European fight fan. The UFC will get better with that in 2026 because they're already showing signs that European market is here to stay. In a few weeks, about a month and a half, you have the UK's own Tom Aspinall taking on Cyril Gane, another French guy, and they're going to put that at a very reasonable time. It will take place in Abu Dhabi, but to cater to the French and the UK markets, I have no doubt the UFC will not start that after 6 p.m. East Coast time, just to be fair to all markets involved. What's up, guys? Your boy Ike Feldman is here. Thank you guys for the love, the support, the likes, the subscriptions. Comment below your thoughts, anything you want to add to UFC Paris. This is going to be one of those quick in and out wrap up post fight shows. I'll try to do this even on the late night UFC cards. So yeah, I guess fast forward to like 5 hours from now, I'll be on at like 1 a.m. giving you guys my thoughts and theories when it comes to all things combat sports. Some news and notes happen in the fight world, but I will get to that and more next week. This recording will literally mainly focus on UFC Paris and what the main event does. This is not the last UFC middleweight, like unofficial Grand Prix that's been going on over the last few months. You had, let's see. And again, like, comment below. If you guys want to join the show on the YouTube live stream, in the description, there's a link there. If you want to comment, those are all welcome, of course. What else? Yeah, on Twitter, if you guys are on the X, I've been going back and forth with you immediately because I believe that's where the real fight nerds. You see what I did there? That's where the real fight nerds live and exist, is on X. I mean, look at the owner of X. I mean, you can't get more nerdy than the owner of X. Elon Musk. I mean, that dude is an absolute freakazoid savant. Like, his brain is probably triple the size of a normal human being, but he just can't speak publicly. Complete introvert, pulls out chainsaws, literally thinks he's in a movie or video game. But when it comes to all things digital and online, I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than Elon Musk. So, yeah, I've been interacting with you guys, and let's take a look at what's unfolded so far in the middleweight division. We had RDR, Ranier de Ridder, the Netherlands' own RDR. 2 division, 1 championship champion. He came over here. He shut down the hype train, which was Bo Nickel. Unbelievable with those. Can you think of somebody who has better knees to the body than RDR? Like that. It's not a flying knee. It's almost like he turns that knee into an uppercut. And he's not looking for your jaw. He's looking for your diaphragm. He's looking for your midsection, your torso, to break you down and finish you, as we saw with Bo. And we saw a couple of great knees landed in that Whitaker fight. And he got the win. Big performance. Everybody's like, is he next to challenge for the UFC title? No, we'll see. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez steps in, absolutely dominates Roman Dolidze a few weeks ago in the Apex. Looked phenomenal. Best shape we've ever seen him. We know he is a dog and a workhorse, and just outwills his opponents. I heard a great quote from Dolidze prior to the fight. I had the opportunity to speak with the great Georgian fighter. He said that Hernandez is not the best striker. Hernandez is not the best wrestler. Hernandez is not the best jiu-jitsu practitioner. But when he gets everybody's tired, he becomes much better. Almost like a Nate Diaz, you know. Nate Diaz does not have the most power, is not the most technically sound, even though he throws a lovely 1-2 down the pipe. But Nate Diaz's biggest asset is to literally squeeze the sponge of your cardiovascular abilities and then capitalize on it. As we've seen with Conor, as we've seen with Leon Edwards, almost really clipped him there. And yeah, Hernandez has that same trait where he's trying to literally break you down. So Hernandez does an amazing job against Roman Dolidze. Is he next to fight for the middleweight title? We'll see. Fast forward, it might have been the next weekend. Chicago, UFC 319, Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat goes in there, as predicted from your boy. Holy moly, I'm trying to make you guys money. And I'm pretty freaking on the what am I on? Not on coke, not on weed. What am I on? On the nose when it comes to these fight picks. I told you Khamzat was going to get that 5-round decision. On the record, I said this. Especially when I saw that he weighed in at 183 pounds. To me, that means that he was ready for the long haul, the longest fight of his career. Yeah, the Whitaker fight was scheduled for 5 rounds, but the dude came out like one of those race dogs on the horse track when you see them like lift the gate and like what's the oh I can't even do the race song. Whatever the classic race song is, that is Khamzat come out of the gate like a panther on his opponents. But with Dricus du Plessis, he was well-paced, and it showed because I don't think he could have gone any faster. If he went any faster or pushed the gas any more in that fight, he might have lost because in the 5th round, and to those of you that are comparing him to freaking Islam Makhachev or Khabib Nurmagomedov, we have never seen those two on their backs in a potential situation that could be dire, where the tables are being flipped. Islam Makhachev in the 4th round tapped out Dustin Poirier. Khabib Nurmagomedov in the 4th round tapped out Conor McGregor. Those guys are a different breed than Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev, in my opinion, will not be a long reigning middleweight champion. The question is, who does he fight next? Okay. So now fast forward to today, UFC Paris. Nasruddin Imavov versus Kai Bohayo. Kai has a lot of momentum behind him. Looked phenomenal the last time we seen him against Jared Cannonier, of course. Lovely striking since we've seen him on the Dana White Contender Series. Literally down the pipe striking, just like his teammate and brother in arms, Carlos Prates, Charlie Siggs, as I like to call him. Beautiful striking. Nice kind of bounce to him like a Lyoto Machida, a Conor McGregor, a Cyril Gane. Just a beautiful bounce to his striking. Whips in with the 1. Follows by the powerful 2. top level jiu-jitsu. He might have been a jiu-jitsu champion. I don't know if he was a world jiu-jitsu champion, but I mean, it says it all that Imavov wanted nothing to do with the grappling exchanges for Kai, who looked much bigger than Imavov. So, long layoff for Kai since the Cannonier win. Fighting in your opponent's country. Two things that can present adversity. But for me, the fight was won August 15th. Huh? August 15th? What are you talking about? That's like 3 weeks ago. How could Kai Bahayo lose a fight 3 weeks ago? Because he freaking weighed in. He's a big middleweight. No doubt in my mind. Plus 207, plus 210 pounds. I don't know how many kilos that is. What is that like? 96? No. 91? I don't know. 88, something like that. He's a big middleweight. Big boy. But to me, was it worth it to get the easy, non-contact, low-impact paycheck of just weighing in as the backup to the main event of Hamzat versus DDP? Kai Bahayo weighed in, got the paycheck, did the flex, got the picture, showed off the abs, and then had to rehydrate, get back to it, fly back to Brazil or wherever his camp is from Chicago, get reintegrated into the training camp, rehydrated, whether that's 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, go to war for probably the last week, cool down, and then do another steep weight cut down to 185.9. Again, after a year layoff. Was he bored? Is that why he stepped in as the backup? Like, let me make a paycheck. I haven't worked in a year. And I need something to do. I'm edging to get out there against Nasruddin. Yeah, he got paid. But you know what he did lose? Is the potential winning paycheck that he could have won if he didn't cut. I'm a big Kai fan. He's a sweetheart of a human being. I can't even begin to tell you how impressive it is. Not only his skill set, but the fact that he left Brazil. He has a family in Brazil, and he's literally trying to bring them to the U.S. or bring a belt back to Brazil. And I believe he will be a UFC champion. I think he has that great aura about him, free spirit, as it says on his neck. Obviously a killer in the cage and on fight night, but something was missing. Was it gas in the tank? Yes, I believe that. I believe Kai Bahayo was missing some gas in the tank. And it says something that he admitted. He was missing adrenaline, quote unquote. Go watch the immediate post-fight in-cage interview that Kai did with Michael Bisping. I think he said it twice. He was missing something, missing adrenaline in the fight. And yeah, he cracked Imavov, and at least twice, like cracks that made Imavov think for a second, stop him in its tracks and go like, whoa, that was a good shot. But the question is, if he didn't have that steep weight cut of, again, probably 20 to 30 pounds, I would say about 25 pounds, which makes sense. 25 pounds to go down 3 weeks ago, and then 25 pounds to go back up, and then 25 pounds to go back down, and then 25 pounds to go back up. That's a lot on the body, very taxing on the body. And it showed, because when he did crack Imavov, there wasn't a second gear that he could go to. There was a shot that Imavov looked like he was like sitting on a chair in midair, that he had to like balance himself as if he was like standing up to surf on a wave, or rolling around on a skateboard or something. Kai cracked him, but he did not have that extra gear to go to. I 1000% 1000% believe that is due to back-to-back weight cuts about 3 weeks apart. So now, what's next for the UFC's middleweight division? I highlighted the middleweight division. Obviously, you can see Chechen's own Hamzat, what's his name? Boraz the Wolf. Chimaev is at the top. DDP below. Nasruddin Imavov, Sean Strickland, RDR, Israel Adesanya, which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Hernandez leapfrogs Adesanya, even without fighting RDR. I could see him moving up to 5. This, Kai Bohayo versus Israel Adesanya could be the next fight, or Kai versus Robert Whittaker could be the next fight. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Anthony Hernandez versus RDR is scheduled for October 18th. So get right to it again. Trying to make this a quick recap. I can go on and on and on and on and on. My wife's like, just go freaking record. Get away from me. Stop talking to me about fights. I don't care about fights. I'm like, all right, I'll go record. A lot of people were looking at today's fight between Imavov and Bohayo, that if we saw a tremendous performance, meaning a knockout, meaning a submission, or just a one-sided beatdown, a 55-45, a 50-45 or a 50-44 beatdown, that fighter would get the next title fight. In my opinion, this was a tightly contested fight. Imavov really paced himself. He didn't put him out there. He didn't put himself out there to potentially really expose himself for a big counter, or just he didn't make any mistakes. It was looking at like a soccer game. It was like 2-1 or 1-0, 1-0, and it was a very tightly contested fight. Again, I don't think Kai had that extra gear to go to. I 100% believe it's due to the weight cut 3 weeks ago. And Imavov hasn't traveled. He trains in France. He lives in France. He fought in France. Meanwhile, you have Kai Bohayo losing weight and jumping back and forth all over the world. Brazil, Chicago, Brazil to France. That's a lot. That's a lot. And for a man who's in his physical prime and everything's coming together, for him to admit that there was a problem with his adrenaline, I mean, that says a lot. He could have just gave all the credit to Imavov and just walked away, but he's hinting at that he made the wrong decision with taking the paycheck to be a backup. I mean, was there any question that his Hamzat was going to miss weight? I know he had a history of it, but that was at 170. That was at 170. And Kai should have just literally waited. I mean, I guess you can't wait. I mean, I guess you can wait. For a backup, they should literally, I don't know. They could weigh in the day of, like they don't have to kill themselves, but I guess they're getting paid to do that. So, I mean, we saw, when did we see it? Michael Chandler, he weighed in as a backup before he ever fought inside of the UFC. What fight was it? Was it Khabib Gaethje? Does that make sense? I don't know. He weighed in as a backup, and yeah, he got a free paycheck, and it happens a lot more than it's talked about. These backup fighters, but those fighters don't have a main event fight scheduled 3 weeks later, unless you're Tony Ferguson. And this is the biggest reference point, is that Tony Ferguson was supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. I believe it was like the third, fourth, or fifth time that fight was scheduled. April 18th. I remember this because it was supposed to be in Barclays Center. Ooh, the haunted Barclays Center. Never put a UFC event there. Ooh. COVID happens. It's the Barclays Center fault. Everybody jokes around that, like, was this venue made on a witch burial ground or something? But COVID happens. The UFC has to push back to May 9th. So what is that? April 18th to the 25th to May 2nd. Yeah, literally the same exact timeline. Tony Ferguson and Kai Bohayo, literally the same exact timeline, 3 weeks apart. And Tony Ferguson probably cut more weight than what Kai does. Tony Ferguson showed on a scale that he was cutting down or walking around in the 180s, and then he cut down to 155 just on the date, April 17th, right when he had to weigh in for no reason, just locked in his home, cutting 30 pounds. I get it. It's something to do. But, dude, you're a freaking main event fighter. You're not some scrap heap guy or just some blogger that's trying to get some views. Like, this is your weight cut is part of your livelihood. It's part of your career. And since that fight, obviously it wasn't Khabib. Khabib was stuck in Dagestan, could not get out of Dagestan. So then Justin Gaethje fills in, and you guys remember that was a beatdown. Slowly but surely, that was a beatdown, that fight. UFC 249. And Ferguson was obviously not the same. He finally won for the first time since pre-COVID. And who was it? He beat this guy Salt Poppy or Salt Bay. I thought he was fighting the Salt Bay at first, but he's fighting some guy named Salt Poppy in a boxing match. Talked about that last recording. So yeah, it changed the trajectory of Tony Ferguson's career. That weight cut 3 weeks before he was a main event fighter for the fight of his life. And to this point, this is Kai Bohayo's biggest fight. And you heard it from the coach. When he was sitting on the stool, Kai Bohayo's coach looked him in the eye and he said, "This is your lifetime of work." Going into the 5th round, the coach said, "Everything you've done in your life is for this final round." So then why are you cutting weight 3 weeks before, dropping 20 to 30 pounds? If this is the fight of your life, if you're going to drop that line, then have a little more perspective. And I'm a huge Kai fan. If you guys just joined this second, you'll be like, what an asshole. But I'm telling you, I'm a huge Kai Bohayo fan. I think he was going to win this fight. He just didn't have an extra gear to go to. It sucks because you want everything the fight nerds touch to be gold. But like Carlos Prates losing to Ian Machado in April and then coming back in August to a lesser opponent, you feel like he's lost no momentum. Like maybe that was the change of lane that Charlie Siggs needed to now push forward, one of those 1 step back, 3 steps forward type of deal. And now look, Carlos Prates is going to be fighting at MSG. Charlie Siggs is going to be fighting at MSG against former, was it 3-time welterweight champion, the UK's own Leon Rocky Edwards. That's a big fight for Carlos Prates. And it's hard to believe, but it was a good thing that he lost to Machado Gary. He realized where he had to fix things and become a better fighter. I mean, Machado Gary is the one who took that fight on short notice. I think he took it with 3 or 4 weeks notice. And Prates was always set for that date at least 6, 8, 10 weeks in advance. And we saw a glimpse of Prates in that 5th round where he almost took out Ian Gary. But the point is he lost and he went back to the drawing board. He did not pout. He learned from it and he came back much better in his next time out. So I'm trying to spin this in a positive. Kai Bohaya will be back. I believe he will be a future champion. Things get tougher, you know. Does he fight Israel Adesanya in his next fight? That would be something I'm sure he'd want. Does he fight a Brendan Allen? Not much name value. Does he fight a Michael Page? If he fights a Michael Page, he may go for a takedown and people may hate him that he just goes for the smart route and tries to go for a submission. He would be fortunate if he were to get the Israel Adesanya fight because of the name value and because it's stylistically very appeasing to UFC brass and to fight fans. You know, a lot of people hate the performance that Khamzat Chimaev put on. But if Kai in Israel were to get locked in a cage for 25 minutes or in a co-main for 15 minutes, that's going to be a high-level striking battle. So, I wasn't impressed with Nasruddin Imavov. He got the win. Again, if I'm equating this to soccer, France versus Brazil, I think it was a 1-0 game. Big time pressure. A lot of focus. But he took 0 chances. 0. Very safe. Very smart. The dude is a smart fighter. Continues to climb the ladder. Now he's sitting very pretty. He's behind DDP, as you guys can see. But DDP is off a loss. Imavov is off a win. So he's in a good position. You know, it's one of those Leon Edwards, if you remember a few years ago before he was a champion. He made himself undeniable. You know, he wasn't doing himself any favors in terms of promotion or being eccentric during his fights. Not necessarily a fan favorite like Imavov. Wasn't the most outspoken. But what he could control, he did, which is win and win and win. Now, I just noticed this. You see who's sitting there? Well, now you can't. But now you can. Yes, he is out of a fight camp. And he is in anger management. Sean Strickland versus Kai Bohaya is the fight to make. You want to talk about karate boxing with Kai? With the sharp stinging jab followed by the cross, in and out. Like those old phone cords that were attached to the wall. You know, those cool things? Or like a long, what are the battle ropes? That's what Kai Bohaya's striking is like. Against the Philly Shell. Get out of my face. What are you doing? Sean Strickland. I would love that. Kai Bohaya versus Sean Strickland is a great next fight. Kai Bohaya, this will be for the better. You know, if he can lock down the Adesanya fight, the Strickland fight, because Strickland, I believe, is more confident in that fight because he can avoid getting taken down to the mats. Adesanya could be exposed if he got caught by one of those foot trips that Kai threw at Imavov at least 4 times. He might be able to take somebody like Adesanya down. I would bet on it. and tap him out. So Adesanya might want to stay away from Kai Bohayo. He is the A side in that fight, but Sean Strickland may have watched today's fight and like, I see what's wrong. I see what's wrong with that guy. Strickland might not even want to jump in there against Imavov. And he may get that Imavov rematch, especially if the next fight in this unofficial UFC middleweight Grand Prix has a finish. Because in my mind, as this post says, perfect, the MMA Homie podcast, shout outs to you. In my opinion, this guy nailed it on the head. Quote unquote from the MMA Homie podcast. This is talking about the UFC Paris main event where Nasruddin Imavov won. He says, quote, "That was an unimpressive performance by Nasruddin Imavov. Give the winner of RDR versus Anthony Hernandez the title shot versus Khamzat Chimaev in 2026. Now, if it's literally both men are static and not going to say scared, but anxious and play it safe and don't really take a chance in that fight on October 18th, which is right around the corner. I love the quick turnaround for both guys. Very smart matchmaking from the UFC. Very, very, very smart matching from the UFC. If RDR stops Hernandez with those knees and then ground and pound, if Hernandez can get a hold of RDR's neck, tap him out, and okay, all right, it's in an arena. I was like, please don't put this in a freaking Apex fight. No offense, but like this is going to be blood, guts, and glory. This is probably top 5 fight for me for the rest of the year. 2 guys with great cardio, 2 guys with the eyes on the prize. It's a phenomenal matchup. I'm very excited. Who do you guys think is going to win? RDR. What is he? I don't know what country he's in. He's Deutsch or Holland. One of those. You got the Holland Strangler with a Deutsch dandy going against the Hustlin' Hernandez. Who do you got? RDR or Fluffy? Comment below. Reach out to me at Iketagon, IKETAGON. Yeah, I like what the UFC did with this unofficial Grand Prix. It's a good division. Have you guys noticed that the divisions have been turning over? And yes, it always happens. No fighter can fight forever. There's always turnover, but it just seems to be all happening at the same time. 145. You had Max Holloway, and yes, Volkanovski is still there, but he's part of the old guard, and it took a record-breaking performance, a historical performance, to stay at the top of the division. I think he's the only fighter ever, 35 and older, to win a title fight, 155 pounds and under. So Volkanovski is a freak. But my point is, he's not going to fight for the next 20 years or 10 years or 3 years. You have John Silva, Diego Lopez, Movsar Evloev, LaRon Murphy at featherweight. At 155, Paddy Pimblett, Ilya Topuria, Arman Tsarukyan. Welterweight, Shavkat. Where's Shavkat? Can somebody put like a bat signal? Shavkat, where's Shavkat? You are needed. Ian Gary, if I didn't say it, Carlos Prates, Joaquin Buckley, and then at 185, Fluffy Hernandez, RDR, Bo Nickel, Khamzat Chimaev, DDP's a tweener. He's like part of last generation, part of the future. We'll see what's up with him next. But yeah, the divisions are turning over. Light heavyweight, maybe taking a little longer. 125 has been locked down by Pantoja. 135 is locked down by Merab. Would love to see that super fight. Let's go. Come on. But it's very cool to see the divisions turn over. And speaking of the 155 division, I completely expected. Where's that crazy son of a bitch? Where is that crazy son of a bitch? There he is. No. There he is. There's that crazy son of a bitch. BSD Energy. BSD. Oh, Sandoli. BSD, man. I couldn't have been more right with the Imavov pick. I said he's going to win. It's on the record, motherfuckers. It's recorded. I said he was going to win, and I'm going to have to definitely put explicit for this episode. It's on the record. I predicted Imavov to win over 5 rounds. No doubt about it, especially with what I laid out for you with the Kai Bahio weight cut. But I was dead wrong when it came to Mauricio Rufy versus Benoit Saint Denis. Dead wrong. I thought that BSD was going to be some version of a journeyman in the lightweight division. No joke. I thought he got pushed to that Dustin Poirier fight a little too fast. And it showed, obviously. And I believe Mauricio, who's a member of the Fighting Nerds, has all that momentum, who did not have to do the weight cut. I thought he was going to have his best or biggest victory of his career today. And he didn't. BSD used that crowd's energy. Hometown fight for him. If we're looking at like comparing MMA to soccer and another France versus Brazil matchup, and if the main event was 1-0, because Nasruddin he peppered and he got the victory, got his hand raised, and he wins and moves on. But BSD, he was squeezing for a win. He was not going to let Mauricio get away from him. And he really exposed that Mauricio Rufy, who was getting a lot of comparison as like Brazil's Conor McGregor, hopefully without all the legal stuff and the obscene stuff. But in terms of the striking style, the fluidity of his striking, that was a big word. He was drawing a lot of comparisons to the Mac Man. Early McGregor, humble McGregor, focused McGregor. But BSD said, hell no. You shall not do this in the France. I will shove a croissant up your zook. And he did. He choked out Mauricio Rufy. And he stays in the mix at 155. I should probably pull this up. UFC rankings. Who's at 155? Where was Benoit Saint Denis? He was 13. Rufio did crack the top 15. Benoit Saint Denis. Man, it's September 6th. If he wants to make the turnaround for MSG, what is that, November 15th? It's 2 months and a week. Man, Benoit Saint Denis versus Michael Chandler. Benoit Saint Denis versus Dan Hooker. Woo! I'm just looking for pure violence. I mean, the guy has leaned into the nickname God of War, so he ain't looking for a seminar type of fight that we saw from Imavov. Just classic, perfect defense, and use as much necessary offense to outscore your opponent barely. Old school basketball, very safe victory. But Benoit Saint Denis, that crazy Frenchman, woo, him versus Dan Hooker would be absolutely amazing. Put that in December. That's a great main card fight. Kick off the main card or second or third fight on the main card. I love that fight. So he put himself in a position to potentially get a fight in the top 10. Him versus Chandler is a trade in spots. And whether or not Chandler is ready, because he did get beaten down by Patty the Fatty in his fight. And not sure what's going on with Moicano, if he's injured, if he's involved in some Ponzi scheme or crypto scheme or something. I'm just kidding. Love you or not, though. I don't know what his deal is. Fiziev, he lost to Gaethje in March. Great performance by Gaethje. Is he available? I think Benoit Saint Denis has made his next fight probably the most entertaining fight that we could see him in. The opponent that he'll fight next will not only be able to take his shots, but will be able to deliver the shots back. Benoit Saint Denis is strong. He's an athlete. But obviously, he was outclassed from a technician and an experienced technician and like one of the best in Dustin Poirier. But if we could get him into a fight with another tough guy who doesn't mind biting down on the mouthpiece and throwing down, hey, Fiziev, Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler, what kind of would be a little bit of a safer fight? That'd be fun. I mean, with the grappling changes, I guess. But Saint Denis versus Hooker or Fiziev is just, woo, love it. So great job by this crazy mother freaker. Great job. Great job. Well, went longer than I wanted to go. I see Adam Collins. What does that mean? FTW. Is that for the win? Are you like late? Did you are you like late on the stream? Excuse me. I mean, are you late? Like the fight's already happened. It was on France time. Am I gonna spoil it? BSD won. Oh no, Adam. I'm sorry if I ruined it for you. I'm sorry, Adam. My apologies, but I picked Mauricio Ruffy. Oh wait, you wrote Fluffy, not Ruffy. And if you guys don't know who he's referring to, so this guy, I don't know if the mouse is showing up, but this guy, Anthony Hernandez's nickname is Fluffy. My apologies for thinking you're right, Ruffy. So, all right, Adam, Mr. BJJ, how does Hernandez win? Can he tap out RDR? In my opinion, it's easier to be a defensive jiu-jitsu practitioner than an offensive jiu-jitsu practitioner. So what does that mean? I think RDR could survive 5 rounds. Yeah, he could still lose 50 to 46, 48 to 47, but I don't think he's going to get tapped out. Mr. Adam Collins, .bjj. 1, sorry for misreading what you were writing. But 2, how do you believe Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is going to win October 18th? Please let me know. And you probably jumped out of the stream since I screwed that up. But Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna wrap up in about 2 minutes. Adam, if you don't jump in, that's gonna be all she wrote. Hope you guys have a nice weekend. Hope you're eating well, not too well, just a little well. I'm learning to balance the glutton and the glutton that I am in terms of pizza, ice cream, pizza. Shout outs to Lancaster, Shady Maple. If you are in the tri-state area, go out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Oh my God, them Amish. They may look like Khabib Nurmagomedovs with the beard and the no mustaches, but them Amish know how to throw down. They know how to cook. Shout outs to UFC Paris. Shout outs to all yous. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Your boy's out.